Hi, everyone.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for attending this very first webinar by Zeenea. So I'm Guillaume Bodet, I'm VP Product of Zeenea, and this is Dina Inside Sales. So today we're going to talk about data governance, and more precisely, we'll try to answer the question, why is data governance critical for your enterprise? But first, maybe Dina, you can explain a little bit more about this webinar.
Absolutely. So our primary objective is to introduce you to the basic foundation of data governance today. This is the first in a month, every month series of our Agile Data Governance webinar. In brief, to give you a brief idea of why Guillaume Bodet and I are here today for Zeenea to talk about our governance methodologies is because we want to share with you our experiences that we've had with our big data clients to leverage their data assets with our fully integrated data catalog. So here is our data governance journey map. We made our best efforts to be as creative as possible. So before you take the poll, number one will be the moon. We have no data governance. Number two is the rocket ship. We have started a data governance initiative and it's going pretty well. Number three is the meteorite. We have started data governance, but we are getting bamboozled by meteorites. Bamboozled means hoodwinked. And what does hoodwinked mean?
I guess it means fooled.
It means fooled. And Mars, our data governance initiative completely failed. And the last one, our data governance program was a success and everybody loves it. So I'm going to launch this poll and give you guys a couple minutes to answer. Okay, poll's finished.
All right. So, well, now we can try to dig a little bit deeper into the subject. So probably the first thing to do is to try to define what data governance is. So we have selected a few of definitions that you can find in the different books or councils or institutes. I will let you speed read all those definitions, but we have highlighted a few of the keywords that you typically find in the definitions. When we are talking about data governance, we are talking about discipline, control, process, authority, decisions, rights, accountability, models, processes, and so on. So the thing is, Dina,
Yes?
all the things, is it really fun?
No.
No,
really.
it's not. It's not really fun. So that's no fun in the data governance definition, and the consequence of being no fun is that a lot of organizations decided not to do data governance, and there's actually reasonable reasons for not doing data governance. First one probably is that governance implies control and not value, and good organization wants to create value, not just to spend its time and resources creating control. It slows down the business is another thing people usually say that when they don't want to start data governance. And it's also seen either as an IT problem or a big problem or a big project that has been failing too many times. For people that are more seasoned, that have been around for a long time, they have already seen some initiatives around governance in the IT environment. That might be IT governance, that might be data management governance, or any other governance initiatives. Those projects are usually big and they are hard to finish. So the thing is with data governance that people say, well, it's nice to have. We really would like to have it, but it's not core, and we will do it. We will do it later. So that's actually reasonable reasons to not doing data governance. But at the end of the day, what happens is that the issues remain. When you want to actually try to use your data to create value inside your organization, you face a set of problems. Those issues can be classified in three main areas. The first area is about communication. The knowledge about data is usually tribal. What I mean by tribal is that you have people that produce data that know the data pretty well, that understand the data, but the other people in the company, they usually don't know anything about those data, what quality they can find in the data and what's in there. So you have this siloed information, which is very difficult to share and to use in the organization. The second part of the issues is that the information system is a big mess. We've been building layers and layers of information system in the last decades, and the results of all those layers is that we have very complicated systems. We have complicated pipelines to provision data from one system to another, and at the end of the day, we don't know where the data is, what the quality is, and low quality or quality that is unknown can really threaten the usage of data. And the last part, of course, of the issues is compliance. Compliance, you can be in a very regulated environment where, of course, compliance is a big deal. But in any environment right now, you have more and more compliance. Can be, of course, around data privacy, but probably more and more compliance will come around ethics or general data usage. So the thing is, if you don't start doing governance, you will face all those issues and you will not manage to leverage your data assets. So without the right size data governance, you will have some bad outcomes. First of all, probably your data initiatives will have hard time to deliver the expected value because it will be difficult for you to locate and properly use the data. The data quality will be difficult to assess, and with unknown data quality, it's very hard to use the data. Of course, regulatory dynamics will introduce a competitive threat. I mean, if you are in a competitive environment, then you might have competitors that have proper data governance and can react quickly to new regulations. That means that they will be able to use their resources to create and innovate, while you will be just struggling to just comply to the regulations. And at the end of the day, that's innovation and data monetization that will be jeopardized. The important part in this slide is actually to put in place the right size data governance. I mean, every data governance is not good for everybody. So you need to know exactly what kind of governance you need, what style of governance you need, and where you stand in the governance landscape. So that's actually the question you have to ask. What kind of data governance do you really need? And probably to answer this question, the first thing is to figure out that there is two dimensions in data governance, or more globally in your data strategy. The first dimension is a defensive dimension. Defensive dimension is focused on risk control and risk management. The idea is that you want to make sure that you respect privacy, you respect security, you respect compliance. So you put a governance in place that is more on this, well, the definition we saw at the beginning, that is more the control and risk management. And on the other side, you have the offensive part of the governance. The offensive part is more about using your data to create value.
I have a question for you, actually. When you talk about the obligations and undertaking regulation, are you talking about GDPR?
This is one of the regulation you have to comply to, but of course, depending on your environment, you may have many others regulation you need to comply to. GDPR is, of course, limited to the European soil, but while in many other countries you have also regulation about privacy. And then if you are in industries like healthcare or banking, insurance, you have a lot of other regulation you need to comply to. And all of them require that you have proper data governance, because most of those regulations require you to prove where your data is, how you store it, how you use it, and to prove to the auditors that you actually use it in a way that is compliant to the regulation. So to make it more precise, the thing is that this is your business environments that defines your constraints and where you will stand in the spectrum of data governance. So we have represented this part as a line where you will be from defense to offense, and depending on your sector, you will stand in different places in this spectrum. Of course, hospitals are very highly regulated environment, and they need to set up quite defensive data governance. And on the other side of the spectrum, you have retailers or ad tech or all the web business that is more on the offensive part, and probably requires less data governance. And if we dig into all these constraints, if we talk about the hospital, they really are in a highly regulated environment. Data quality is of course paramount because they use data to save lives, and bad quality, bad data is probably bad quality, bad data could lead to losing lives. So data governance is really key for them, and it's really defensive. But the health tech and the healthcare environment is getting competitive as well. So even in this environment, more and more companies are trying to leverage data to create new innovative usage, to innovate and to create more value. And this is why, even though they probably stand in a very defensive area of data strategy, there is a lot of pressure that pushes them to get more and more offensive. That's the reason why they need a strong data governance to be able to comply to all the regulation they have to, and at the same time try to improve their ability to use data for creating value. On the other side of the spectrum, you have probably the opposite situation for retailers or e-commerce or ad tech companies. They have almost no regulation, but the regulatory pressure is increasing quickly. It's increasing quickly because there's all the data privacy regulation, but probably there will be in the next month or next years more and more regulation about ethics and how they actually use the data in the machine learning or artificial intelligence projects. So they are less regulated. They have developed very offensive data strategy, and sometimes no or little governance to support this strategy, and they are using their data to innovate and to distinguish themselves in their very competitive markets. But they will face more and more regulation, and they probably need to put in place more and more regulation so they can more and more governance so they can face the regulatory pressure. And in between these industries, you have all the bank or insurance or fintech or insurtech, all those companies that are heavily regulated, but they are also operating in very competitive environments. So they are both they both need to have a strong defensive governance, but they also need to make sure that their governance allows offensive usage of the data. So they get somewhere in between, and they need a more balanced data governance. All right, so this is more or less how we can analyze you need to figure out in your industry where you stand, where is your starting point, and then you will need to learn about the constraints and the pressure you have, so you can define and design the proper data governance. So Dina, where should we start then?
So again, to reiterate that Guillaume said, data governance is based on those two approaches, offensive or defensive. And so in order to be able to actually be in compliance or be able to innovate, you need to start by asking yourself questions. I see now. So look at all these questions. You have to ask yourselves, what data is present in your organization? What technical tools do you have? What golden sources do you have? Who's in charge? There are so many questions you need to ask yourselves that it can actually be really, really overwhelming. And so we have built a very useful tool for you to help you ask and answer the right questions. We can help you have a very clear roadmap to deploy your lean data governance. So here you can see the lean data governance canvas that we have created. We're not going to actually dig too deep into this right now because we will introduce this in our next webinar. However, you have a moment to take a look at this. And you will have this slide once you request it at webinars@zeenea.com. But now it's time for our Q&A session. So let me take a minute to see some questions. I'm going to turn our camera back on. Okay, so I see one question. Ooh, this one's a good one. So, Guillaume, who is responsible for data governance in an organization?
Well, of course, it depends. But well, in modern organization, you have a new role that has appeared in the last few years, which is the chief data officer. This is typically the guy that is in charge of the data governance in an organization. But of course, while the good practice is probably to have an autonomous chief data officer that will handle this part of the data strategy, but over concern as well. But sometimes the organization is not mature enough and you don't want to enter into this organization transformation. So I've seen organization where the data governance is actually owned by the risk department. This is of course for people that are more on a defensive data governance, and in more offensive data governance areas, it can be on the either on the R&D department or even the marketing department.
Thanks for your answer.
You're welcome.
It's very insightful. Okay, do we have enough time for another question? I believe so. Give me a second. Okay, so everyone knows that data governance is important, which is why everyone's here. But like people say, it keeps falling to the bottom priority. What can they do to prevent it?
Oh, that's actually what we will try to address in this series of webinar. But so it's probably the answer is pretty long. But the first thing to know is just to learn that you need data governance. Data governance is not just about control. It's about having rules so you can actually use your data. So you know how to use it, what quality you can expect from the data, and you can start improving the sharing and the knowledge of data, and change the culture of your organization so everybody will be confident in using the data for the day-to-day job. It could be, of course, traditional data analyst job, can be more insightful data scientist, but it can be also everybody that could be able to use the data to do their day-to-day job. Okay.
Good response.
Not sure, but it's good enough. It's good enough.
Okay, so our data scientist has crunched all the numbers, and I would love to share with you the results from our poll. Let's hope I have no technical issues at this point. Ta-da! So what you can see here is, many of you actually don't have any data governance. And then there are, it's a tie. You guys are getting bamboozled.
I'm happy that people are getting bamboozled.
You guys are getting bamboozled by meteorites. That's a good word, bamboozled. Okay, so I invite you guys to continue joining us on this journey through our webinar, as this can be a very helpful and useful tool to find out what you can do to actually help achieve your data strategy. So, hiding these lovely results. And then, so this is the end of our first webinar. We will have another webinar on October 17th, same time, same place, 11:30 a.m. CEST, and we will be discussing the pragmatic approach of agile data governance. We will be digging much more deeper into this topic. We also invite you to download our white papers. We have volume 1 and volume 2 on www.zeenea.com. And one last thing, there is an upcoming event called the Data Leaders Summit, and that will be in Berlin on October 23rd and 24th. So you can come meet this handsome gentleman and me, and we'll be able to present to you our product at Zeenea, and we can talk more about data governance. And if that is all, I guess.
Yeah, we're done.
I guess we're done. Have a good rest of your day and the rest of your evening if you're not in Europe. And we hope to see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.